What's up, peeps? Hold on 1 second. I like the song. Give me a second. All right. Let me get the music off. How you guys doing today? What is today? Tuesday? This is Tuesday evening, October 24th, 9 p.m. A little bit later than when we usually do our live streams, but I hope you guys are having a great week with exactly 1 week left until Halloween.
Yeah, feels like it's been Halloween for a month now.
Feels like for
2 months.
Eternity right now, right? I mean, that's kind of the thing about doing Halloween Horror Nights year round is when you finally get to Halloween, to the like actual holiday, you're kind of like, oh, now it's happening. Oh,
yeah, right.
Wasn't that like a couple months back when we did that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy to think we are legitimately just a week away from Halloween. I mean, technically less than a week right now. But I mean, nonetheless, here we are and coming to the final week of HHN. Wow.
Kind of sad.
All right, we technically still have 2 weeks, but next week will officially be the final week of HHN 32 here in Orlando. And it's one of those feelings where it's like it's kind of bizarre that it's at the end, because it's like I know a lot of people that are fatigued for some reason, and then at the same time I'm like, oh, like I'm kind of tired, but I'm like, we got to live this up as much as we can, because like we've said all off season and leading up to this moment, it's going to get here quickly and it's going to be done as quickly as it got here. And sure enough, I mean, we're wrapping up the HHN 32 season pretty soon, and conversations will be already kicking off for HHN 33. Like just like that.
We don't have to get into it, but do you think they're even going to call it 33? Or do you think next year they're going to start the whole like dual coast?
That's a good question.
Just the year.
See, I genuinely think, and by the way, today's chat, what we're going to do is just kind of chat along with you guys, kind of do like the last live stream, maybe just do an hour of live stream and stuff, because we have some things we have to do later tonight and get to as well. And of course, we got the baby over there laying on the couch. Big shout out to Hondo. He doesn't care.
He's sleeping.
But yeah, so we're just going to kind of chat along with you guys tonight, discuss a couple of things, as well as the Vegas project that's currently going on with HHN. We're going to be doing a video pretty soon coming up with that. But yeah, I feel like, we've discussed some things, and we've looked into the HHN marketing thing for the past few years, and we've looked at their merchandise, and it really seems like they're trying to blend both coasts, the West Coast and the East Coast. Hollywood and Orlando, when it comes to merchandising and marketing and all that kind of stuff, it's cheaper. It's the way that these big corporations are kind of going about, which I'm really hoping they don't. So my answer to you is, will they just kind of say no, HHN 33? I don't think so. I think they'll still call it HHN 33 out here in Orlando. I think they have to, because it is a selling point for them anyways. Now, marketing wise, I don't think they'll ever market it as Halloween Horror Nights 33. I don't think we'll ever see that marketed, but I think it would be called that amongst the people and stuff. But I think its official wordage that Universal will always use will be the year. Same it. So 2024, 2025, and just kind of use that, because they really try to blend the two, I think.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Do you guys think we're not going to see any more of the continuously the annual year for HHN out in Orlando? Do you guys think we're going to probably get like the merged year?
I don't know. I feel like no, because they brought Oddfellow as like an icon. I feel like they have to continue that story. And if they're
Did you see that?
Is the lens on?
Yeah,
auto?
Always.
That's weird.
That's weird.
But I feel like they're gonna keep having like our icons be separate, and if they do that, then they have to have separate merchandise. So I might as well keep
I agree.
it separate.
I agree with you. And one thing too, we're going to be talking about is that Vegas project for Universal and Horror Nights. That'll be going on. I mean, that is going on, but that's another question to bring up too. When they start marketing that, how is that going to play into the whole marketing scheme of Halloween Horror Nights for future years? So that's something we will be talking about and keeping up with and stuff. As well, I see Fun Guy said we lost you. Everything good? You guys can hear us still? Right? Maybe? I feel like the technical stuff has been a pain recently. Oh, and I realize we don't have the lightsabers on at all. The typical HHN merchandise right here. Some lightsabers. Boom.
And they're Christmas colors.
Which is quickly approaching us. And I wonder if that's why everybody is like, I wonder if everyone's kind of fatigued with Halloween and Horror Nights and stuff, because like now all the retailers that we've gone to recently, they all have Christmas stuff out. There's Christmas everywhere. Yeah, everywhere.
Everybody has started Christmas already. And it's like, what?
Yeah, we have seen.
Since when?
Yeah, we have seen multiple retailers with Christmas stuff out. I know Islands of Adventure at Universal already has Christmas stuff going out as well. And another thing too, I'm not calling anybody out, but we've seen multiple houses that when we go on walks and drive around already have Christmas decorations out. Halloween's a week away, guys. I don't mind you putting Christmas decorations or Halloween decorations up early, but wait until Halloween finishes.
November 1st.
Please. November 1st.
Do whatever you want.
That's fine. But a week before Halloween, I feel like it's a little disrespectful. I feel like I'm gonna start putting some Halloween stuff up during Christmas Day and be like, get ready for 2024. So I'm not sure. Any of you guys, is anybody here like that? Please tell me nobody here has Christmas lights up. See, there you go. Samantha said, no, I'm throwing a Halloween party Friday. We also got some people who, and this is what's kind of the crazy thing to me. You know, before we get into the other stuff we're going to talk about, we literally like do Horror Nights year round, right? Horror Nights is embedded into our souls. And then when Horror Nights finally gets here, you know, we go to Horror Nights all the time. And with a week left, something that Steph and I always talk about is like, do we like, you know, try to go as much as we can or whatever? Because we have other things we got to get done. And I know a lot of other people do as well. But, you know, we're like, all right, we've gone, what, 20 plus times to the event, I would say. You know, we've also been out to the West Coast and did HHN Hollywood this year for the first time, which was a lot of fun. We actually finally got the video up for those of you guys that saw it. But then I sit here, I'm like, oh, there's a week left. How many days do you want to go? You know, there's a week left. We got to try to go as much as we can. And I'm seeing people, and I know we get a lot of messages and comments from people saying, can't wait to go for the first time this year, next weekend. I'm like, what? What do you mean? And it's so crazy to think that people still haven't even gone for this year's event. And one question I want to bring to you guys, and something I'll bring up to you as well, Steph, is if you were to go, and I'm sure you guys will be able to answer this better than us, but if you guys were to be able to choose when you can go to Horror Nights, when would you personally pick it? Would you want it to be at the beginning of the event, the middle of the event, kind of like that September to October transfer, or would you want it to be around Halloween at the end of the event? Because I feel like the longer you wait, the closer we get to Halloween, the more like pure it feels. The weather's feeling great outside. It's spooky, yeah, but the weather outside, right? It feels like Halloween. You know, we finally have fall outside. You know, it's not like 85 plus. You know, it's getting into the 70s now and stuff, and we have some nights even in the 60s, which is real good. But I feel like so much has already happened, so much has been discussed, so much has been showed out that does it actually take away from your experience if you only go at the end of the event?
But we're also so in the community that like we see all that stuff. I think you can easily avoid it.
Yeah.
Like if you don't want to see any spoilers or anything like that, you can very easily
of course, avoid
it.
But would that ruin the feeling? Like, does that ruin it for you, or does that make you more excited to go? Or you start seeing all these posts and you start hearing, you know, talks about the event, and you're getting excited and stuff, and you're like, everybody's like, oh, we already gone, this was great, blah, blah, blah. You're like, oh my God, I got 2 more weeks, 2 more weeks. Oh, 1 more week, it's the last weekend, I'm going to go and live it up. Like, does it excite you more, or does it bum you out? The fact that there's so much happening already that you're kind of like,
no,
I need to get my taste.
I think it would excite. I think I would pick like Halloween week to go. And
versus the middle of the week, like or the middle of the year. I mean,
yeah, I would do Halloween, because if I could only pick like 1 week to go, it would be Halloween. Okay. Because it's just like in the past, I would have said like no, because Halloween week is too busy. But honestly, like every night is busy. Yeah, I don't think there's really any week this year that we've been like, oh, it's a slower week, because it's not. Like none of it is. So I think that's the only reason why I previously would have said like, oh, avoid like Halloween week, because it's really busy. But I feel like even, the first week of September or the first week of October is super busy now, like this year. So it doesn't really make a difference. Yeah,
and that's something we'll talk about for next year's event when we do our videos next year. It's just kind of how like, where did the crowds go? And that's all to HHN. every day basically. But I will say like this, I guess if you don't live locally, like we live locally, so it's easy for us to go to the event, and it's right there. And, you know, we crave it so much that, you know, opening night, we can go to opening night, we can go to the next night, the next weekend, you know, and so on and so forth. But, you know, I do wonder what it's like to be somebody who gets to come just one time. You know, you get that one trip that you get to come down, and you choose the Halloween week. I think that's a fun week. I mean, it is Halloween week, so I could see it being super exciting for the fact that you're like, for Halloween week, I'm going to HHN. Like, I'm doing it big, you know? So I could see it being exciting.
I also think that if I only got one chance to go, if you go, like, say you go the last week of September or the first week of October, then you come home and you still have several weeks until Halloween, but your like Halloween trip or thing or whatever has already passed. Mm-hmm. So you're like, you know?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I still feel like the sweet spot for me in choosing is like October, like the first week of October. I still feel like that feels like Halloween week to me as well. When it's finally October, we transferred into that just feels like the sweet spot for me, because then that's the time for the scare actors to get accustomed. You know, the operations are accustomed and all by then usually. Really, the whole month of October is nice, and I would argue to say that this year September felt to be more, I guess, busier crowd-wise than October did this year.
Yeah.
For some reason, the nights that we have gone in October have been less crowded than the nights we've gone in September. And to be honest, you know, we've always told people go in September, it's a little less busier. But then the weather it's just so hot still, you know, it's still hot outside. It's muggy. It rains a lot. This October, we really haven't had any like weather problems, no rain. And we've had a beautiful past 2 weeks here in Orlando where it feels like fall to us, at least. It might feel a little more like summer or spring to you guys up from the north, but to us here, it feels like fall. So for that to be, you know, the perfect combination to go to an event like HHN, and then the crowds just doesn't seem that busy like we've had in September, I would almost argue saying, hey, you know, flip your trip from September and go in October. But then again, it's like, you know, people start saying that, and then everybody goes in October. Yeah, so
you really have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
The last like 2 or 3 years, it has seemed like anything that makes sense like is the opposite. So it's like, yeah, it makes sense that Wednesdays would be the slowest days, and then it's like, oh, Wednesdays are the busiest days. Yeah.
Now, drifting our conversation just a little bit, Mr. Disney King said, obviously September was busy with that cheaper freaking Fear September pass. And yeah, there is another pass that's available during September. And I do think it helps make it busy, but October is always just known to be still busier. This is the first time that I've seen September, and they've always had this pass, but this first time I've really seen September be busier than October. And one thing that I'm kind of worried about, I don't know if we talked about it in the last live stream.
I don't think
I'm not sure. I think we talked about making it a video. Yeah. And we may do that as a video still in the future to come, but I'm a little worried with our passes right now for HHN. Now, there is no confirmation on this at all. This is just strictly just our opinions, our thoughts, our rumors and stuff. Nobody told us anything about it. We're just throwing this out there, so don't go around telling everybody saying, oh my God, this is what I heard. Like this is fake, okay? But I'm a little worried with the passes because HHN Hollywood, when we went out there, we realized they changed a couple things since their previous years, you know, and we've talked to a lot of locals out there that we ran into who watched the channel, and they were talking to us about, you know, how it used to be, and it was this, and it was that, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, to us, that was our first year, we didn't know the difference, right? And so I look at Orlando's and I look at what is one thing if Universal could really like control the crowd wise and even also increase, you know, I guess profit on tickets or the margin in a sense for that. But, you know, what is one thing they can look at and really change? And I think it is the Frequent Fear Pass, but the Russia Fear one, I think they're thinking about, or they will, or whatever, get rid of the Russia Fear Pass. That's the September pass, because now they made it strictly to where if you get that pass, you can only upgrade to the highest tier pass, which is the Ultimate Fear Pass. And I think that, you know, people were taking advantage of it, which was a smart thing to do, you know?
Oh yeah, we always recommend it. If you're going to the event for 3 days in September, don't buy 3 separate single night tickets. Buy a Rush of Fear pass, because I don't know if 3 days exactly was the like break even point.
I think it was like 2.5 days.
But yeah,
if you go 3 days, you technically make.
So people were doing that. A lot of people were doing that, and I mean, it makes sense. It's not like against the rules or anything.
No.
But I do think that Universal is going to want to cut down on the amount of people who are not local, who are like buying the Rush of Fear to save money rather than like 3 single day passes.
Yeah. And, recently they did, for this year, they brought up that reservation date kind of thing, when you buy a frequent fear pass, you have to choose which day you're going to be attending as your first day, basically. And we've always told people, like, just choose opening night. Just choose it, because you don't have to attend, but that has to mark at least your first night, if not the nights after you will be attending. So we always told people that. So I don't know why, and I understand that they were doing it for crowd control and stuff. But to get more of a control, I think they're going to get rid of Rush of Fear, and that they're going to raise the prices slightly more in the other ones to really increase those people who are coming from out of state to stay more nights at their hotels and things like that, and buy more of the frequent fear pass or plus pass or ultimate pass, or even increase single night tickets. And instead, because I know a lot of people that come down, they usually do 2, 3, 4 nights, and they get that Rush of Fear in September. And if that is eliminated, now you have to look at getting the frequent fear pass, which is a little more expensive than the Rush of Fear. And if people are like, that's a little too much, then you look at single night tickets. It's like, do you want to buy a single night ticket for multiple days like that? And then, your hotel stays, and also it might hurt them in the length of stay that some people might have for their own property stuff. But then it also offers value for those guests who do buy that, who now have ability to come in October again, who might book another trip in October then. So I feel like it's like a 50-50 situation right now. Like, if they do that, there are some cons to it, but I feel like there are a lot more pros when it comes to the business side, that they're like, look, we can cut costs and make a little bit of, a profit off of doing this move. Or then for the consumer side, like, it will hurt us a little bit. Yeah. But like I said, none of this is like actual stuff. This is something we just kind of been speculating based on certain things we've seen. So I'm just kind of worried about those passes kind of disappearing in the future. Yeah.
And then I agree with what Fred had said about, if you're going to go like a decent amount of times and you don't have like a regular like Universal annual pass, and you are planning on parking, it almost like pays for itself by doing the ultimate pass, because parking is so freaking expensive.
Yeah.
And we've talked with a few people about this, about how like, if you don't have an annual pass, like a daily annual pass, and you're planning on going to HHN like even like 5 nights, like that's like,
it's like 150 plus.
That's
for parking.
A good chunk of change just for parking.
Yeah, the whole parking like fiasco and situation, that's ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie. Like, for the companies out here, like the theme park industry, like charging $30 for parking.
It's a lot.
Like, come on. It used to be like 15, and even then I was like, oh, 15 just to park my car,
Right.
So and of course it tries to make people like want to stay on property so you can take their transportation and stuff. But $30
even there they charge you like $30
for overnight parking.
Overnight parking.
Yeah, it's getting a little much, but yeah. I wonder if Rush of Fear will stay. I do feel like the way I do feel is like next year it will, but if anything, they will do another change next year, and it might be with the reservation thing that they were trying out. There might be some change in the Stay and Scream stuff as well for next year, like slight things. I don't think anything drastic. I just think that, remember us saying this, that there might be something that you want to look into with the Rush of Fear Pass and Stay and Scream, and keep an eye on those, because I feel like we might get a slight change, and depending on that change could really mean what future we'll have with those options in the future. Because Hollywood no longer had like the Stay and Scream options for their pass holders who had access to the parks and HHN for that night. You instead had to make sure you purchased that Stay and Scream. I know it's not called that. We call it in Orlando that. But the Stay and Scream option, you had to buy the Scream early ticket, and that gave you access. You get a wristband to get access to go into the houses.
Orlando, please don't.
I don't think Orlando could do that, but if Hollywood did it, Orlando could figure it out. And that's one thing I'm worried about is if they end up doing that, because Stay and Scream is that's a blessing for us to have, especially us locals. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't think they would, but if they do, then that's one of those where it's like, grab your pitchforks and torches and whatever, whatever Shrek says. That'll be us in the future. So something to think about. Something that we had to get off our chest.
Melanie said, "I'd be so pissed. I just got an annual pass." Hopefully not.
Yeah, I'm hoping not. I really don't think that PR-wise and consumer, relations will go well if that was the case. But just wanted to put that out there, just so you guys can remind us in case anything happens. Be like, you guys did talk about it, and I'm like, well, shoot, hate to say that, but yeah. And then let's see, same raise price by another 25% on all seasonal passes. Give you small discounts depending on your first use dates. And so, see, now they said give you a small discount depending on your first use date. I don't think they'll actually do that because they didn't do it for this year. And that's one thing we talked about, where it's like we told people pick your reservation date as the first day of the event. Just put the first day of the event. And I know they use it for crowd control reasons, but it's like if I can't get that first day, why am I spending money on a pass that gives me access to the date that I can't now?
It should be like prorated.
Exactly.
If you're like, I'm not gonna start going until like
mid-October,
September 20, whatever, then they should prorate it and take like those days that you're not going off, like you would with literally anything else.
I agree.
But it's like, obviously they're not gonna do that. That would be like way too confusing.
It would be complex because that would be every single guest.
Yeah.
They would have to pretty much
so why even do the whole like little reservation thing? If you have an annual pass, you should be counted, or a frequent fair pass, you should be counted in like the numbers that like this many people could be in the park.
Yeah.
Just like they do with the annual passes, like for daily operation.
See, I think Universal right now has a serious issue with like
crowd control.
And it's because that park can't expand. There's nowhere else for that park to really expand its borders. So do we want to talk about HHN 2024 speculation right now?
I mean, unless anybody has any objections, why not?
Do we want to save 24 speculation?
Maybe we should save it. Let's talk about Vegas.
All right, we can talk about Vegas. I said we got one more week of this year. We'll wait for that conversation until after next month. So, HHN Vegas. We finally have an official name for it.
Yeah.
Universal Horror Unleashed.
Unmasked.
I know. The Universal's Unmasking the Horror Tour, Universal Monsters Unmasked, the Universal Legends Legends Collide, whatever.
That one doesn't count.
Let me pull this up real quick. I want to pull this up here on NBC, the official site of NBC. Let me pull it up.
I like the little like graphic that they posted though.
Yeah, so
pretty cool.
Here we are with the Universal Horror Unleashed. This is over on NBC. They talk about Universal calling it, Halloween or Universal Horror Unleashed for Halloween Horror Nights. Year-round experience. Right here is the crazy part to me. 20-acre area, which is kind of crazy that we have 20 acres here in Las Vegas at the Area 15 complex. And what's kind of crazy too is they said a variety of unique, immersive, and horror-centric experiences will surround eerie eateries and bone-chilling bar areas. And one thing that I really do love is this right here, seasonal events. Now, if you guys remember in our last live stream, I think it was our last live stream, we discussed certain things about Universal doing a year-round experience at Orlando in Universal, in the park itself. And we know that they have the Vegas situation going on, but how could they do a haunted house year-round? We were just kind of playing with the ideas and stuff. And here in Vegas, they're going to be doing something that is seasonal. because we talked about them having one soundstage dedicated to doing 2 houses and making each house seasonal. So when they're operating one, the other one they're working on, when that's finished, they operate that and then change the other one. And that's what we're kind of going to get here at Vegas, where we have these seasonal events. We're going to have these changes, these icons and different features, one-of-kind merchandise, which is cool and all. But one thing that's a little worrisome to me is that this right here, they said at this point, while none of the venue's core attractions have been announced yet, guests can expect to see representation from Universal's long list of modern and classic horror properties, from the Universal monsters to current hits like Chucky, The Purge, Nope, and more.
But is that a direct quote, or is that like
this isn't a direct quote, but they said you can expect it like. So that doesn't mean that you will see Chucky, you will see The Purge and all that stuff. But I'm interested as why they decided to say things like that, like Chucky, Purge, Nope. I'm assuming we will get IPs featured at Vegas. I mean, why wouldn't they? Because it's just like, we did a, oh my gosh, when did we do this? We did a video about the Vegas announcement back in January. I think it was January of this year. We did a video about it, and we talked about this Vegas experience kind of being almost like the Stranger Things experience that's kind of been traveling around the world and seeing, you know, changes and things like that, but making it like an IP and having some IP, you know, properties featured within this Area 15 complex that Universal has. But then we also will be getting like the icons and stuff as well that we've seen from Halloween Horror Nights, and maybe like escape room types of things, other interactive experiences, maybe some VR stuff there. I know Universal's really been working on some VR products and things like that. So some things like that to look into. But my question is, are we going to get like a haunted house? You know, because I really haven't seen anything pointing towards haunted house. I haven't been reading much into this, and we do need to get more into that. But like haunted house, are we going to get a haunted house? Are we going to get an escape room? Are we going to get photo ops? Like what exactly?
I could see them totally doing the whole thing without a single house. I could see that.
Yes.
I don't know why.
But do you think they should do a house?
I don't know. See, that's where I'm torn.
See, I feel like they should have a house if they did it September and October for Halloween Horror Nights, and they had their house over there, house number 11, whatever.
I can see that.
And they had it where it's a Halloween attraction that people even locally can go to and walk through a haunted house created by Horror Nights in Vegas. That'd be really cool, and that's your seasonal kind of thing that they can have.
But Vegas is like somewhat close to Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
So like they could just go to Hollywood.
Yes, of course.
But
they could also take a plane flight and go to, you know, Singapore if they wanted.
Fred said it'll be interesting to see if a year-round haunt is profitable. And I think that somewhere, and he even said like being in Vegas probably helps immensely. I think somewhere like Vegas.
Which one? I'm sorry. I'm looking for it.
Up. Right there.
Which one?
Right where your cursor is.
Right here?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, my bad.
I think somewhere like Vegas is the only place that you could make a year-round haunt profitable. However, we do have one here in Orlando that is on a much smaller scale. That's a year-round like little haunted walkthrough thing. And then I know they have one up in like Sandusky where I grew up. We had a year-round haunted house there that always seemed to do pretty well. I guarantee you they have slow seasons. You know, I doubt very many people are going through a haunted house like in December, or at least the last few weeks of December. Like, I don't think very many people are in the mood for, unless they theme it to like Krampus or something like that.
Yeah, Sir Henry's does that. We know Floor 13. There's a lot of places that do those seasonal haunts.
Yeah,
is what they do. Not year round.
I guess
but
not
seasonal.
I guess the less profitable times of the year would probably not be like the holidays, but more so like just like
April.
Yeah, like springtime when people are still like kids are still in school. It's not summer, but it's like it's not fall. So I could definitely see there being slow times, but I think that somewhere like Vegas, like you have so many tourists that if you were in like, if we were to go to Vegas,
we're going to Vegas.
If we were to go to Vegas in like springtime, now if we were to go anywhere in like the springtime and there's like a year-round haunted house, we might be like, probably not. But if there's a year-round HHN, we're gonna be like, yeah, we're gonna do that. Like,
I mean, yeah, and I guess.
No matter.
Okay, so here's the question: could a year-round haunted house work here in Orlando, done by Universal? Yes or no?
Yes.
Absolutely. Right.
I think they make enough money in the fall to.
No. What I'm saying is, could a year-round haunted house be successful if done here in Orlando by Universal?
I don't know.
See, I think absolutely, because we have a local fan base that, and really, it's because it's not like any like haunted attractions and things that you go to around the country. It's Universal. It's Halloween Horror Nights, right? They made a name for themselves that I feel like they could literally pick anywhere on Earth and say, we're going to do a year-round haunted house, and it be somewhat successful in some numbers. Orlando, obviously being such a tourist destination, I think would be perfect. Vegas is also one of those things too. So I feel like if they were to do a year-round haunted house, I think it would be successful. Just the thing is, with HHN and Universal, they're not the type of people to create one haunted house and be like, yeah, we're going to do that year-round for the next how many years, you know? They're like, we have stories to tell and all these other bigger things that, you know, we're achieving and stuff. So it's the more of the question is whether or not being successful or not, but, you know, is it even operational? Can we, with the time frame that we have of it going nonstop, could we even perform it the way we want it to, day by day, month by month, year by year?
Someone had said that, I don't know how to say their username, but some sketches and interior design mock-ups show 3 to 4 houses. So whether they're like all year round or not is another question. So it sounds like we're getting houses. We just don't know if they'll be all year.
Yeah, I think there'll be a house. I think there'll be kind of an escape game, interactive experience. I think there'll be VR involved. Photo ops are definitely going to be a thing, obviously, there. And then we'll have bars and foods and things like that. I mean, really think about HHN Orlando and Hollywood as a miniature experience inside of a warehouse.
I just hope
they could do that, you know?
I just hope that it's not like gimmicky to where it's like just like photo ops in a bar.
I don't think it will be. I don't. And the reason why I don't think it will be, why I'm really positive about this project is because they can't afford to have this be a failure. This is a big risk, is what I call it. They're getting this huge property in Area 15. Granted, they could sell the area, they could sell the building, have somebody else buy it out. But this is a big move for Universal to do something like this. You know, they're like, hey, we're doing a year-round haunted event in a 20-acre like warehouse area right in Vegas with Area 15. Is it Area 15 or 51? Am I saying it wrong?
15.
15, right? They're doing this big thing. And, you know, for them to make such a move, there's got to be, and you know how corporate these companies have become, you know, they're not as personal as they used to be. You know, they're really much in the numbers game. So there's got to be something that they saw in the sheets, in the numbers, where they're like, this will work. We're going to put money into this. So I don't see this being kind of a off the beaten path, little roadside attraction. I feel like Universal is really going to put a lot into it. And they know, I think going forward into this project, they're going to be like, we're going to have to consistently change this. We're going to have to show people the reason why they need to come every single year, but not every year, maybe even every season. Why they have to book a trip to Vegas, right? And, you know, there's got to be the numbers that gives them the positivity to even pull something like that off. So I feel like it'll be a success. I feel like it'll be a big crowd draw in the beginning. I mean, any Horror Nights fan, you know, and that's the thing, right? I'm talking like the Horror Nights fan, not the people who just go like kind of once a year to week. I'm talking about people who are constantly going every single year, multiple times a year. You know, people who are trying to go to both coasts, even across the seas. Those people are definitely going to want to be there for that opening weekend to experience what this is. Because they're going to... When was the last time that Halloween Horror Nights opened up for the first time to the public for a brand new experience?
Hollywood? Like the first year of Hollywood?
Well, across the seas, I would say. For the ones across the seas. But, you know, we're talking years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So this is the first time we're getting something that is never been done by Halloween Horror Nights, and to a Halloween Horror Nights like fan and enthusiast like us, right? I'm like, I want to be there opening day for that. I want to see that. I want to experience it so that when I'm 95 years old and I'm being pushed around in a wheelchair here in Orlando for HHN, I want to tell people I was there at Vegas.
They're like, oh yeah, that. No, never mind. I'm not gonna say that.
But anyways, I feel like it'll be a success. And one thing too, I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about it at all, is we're also getting an Area 15 here in Orlando.
Yeah.
And, you know, I thought, like, you know, if we're getting one here in Orlando, if the Vegas one is like successful, why won't they build one here in Orlando as well? Do a partnership again with Area 15, get some plot of land. It's right off of I-4. It's a very successful area. And I think they could do that as well, depending on how successful this one is in Vegas. I know a lot of people, a couple of people that I've talked to about this, they've also said, well, why wouldn't they do it on their property? Universal doesn't have any property. They don't really have space. They kind of have to source out and find space. That's why Epic is kind of a bit down the road from where their major, like their venue is right now. So I feel like if this Area 15 thing is successful in Vegas for Universal's Horror Unleashed, I don't see why they couldn't also bring it here in Orlando, or would that pull away from the Vegas experience?
That's what I was. You mean from HHN?
No, not from HHN. But from Vegas.
Pull from Vegas. It might pull from Vegas. It also might pull from HHN.
I don't think it will. I think it'll be an add-on for HHN. I think people who come here, it's like, we're going to have to go there in the day and see that stuff. And then for night, we're going to go to HHN. And those are two separate
Yeah, but couldn't
things.
you see the locals be like, we have HHN all year round. I'm not going to pay that much money to go be in that big crowd.
I don't know. You don't think we would go?
We would go, but that's a different story.
I'm just saying for the big fans. I don't know. Question is, how many fans of HHN are there? Like, truly. Like,
are you asking
in the world? Yeah. And I'm asking the chat too. Guys, how many fans do you think there are, number-wise, of HHN? And I'm not talking about people who just know of the event and just go casual. I'm talking about people who are like, yeah, I'm fans. I follow up on all the news. You know, we do the speculation. We go to the event every single year. You know, we watch the videos and stuff. From all the content creators and stuff. We watch the old videos
How
of
would
Horror
anybody
Nights.
know the answer to that?
Nobody will. It's just a guess. So let me ask you, Steph, pull a number up your butt and tell me, hey, this is what I got.
I think at least 5.
You, me, not Hondo. There's only the people I know in the world. So how many do you guys think, number-wise, there are fans of HHN in the world?
Do you think it's more or less than 5?
If it's less than 5, we have a problem.
That's a silly question, Brian.
It's not a silly question. I'm asking. I just want to know. What do you guys think?
I don't think you could even like guess.
I'm gonna say there's at least 500,000.
Okay.
I just want to. Okay, you're muted. You're muted for 3 minutes. Chat. If you guys had to take a guess with how many people are fans of HHN in the world, what would that number be?
Melanie said Horror Night Nightmares account alone has 27.5 thousand.
Okay, so we got at least 27,000, right?
I mean, if you look at the amount of people that follow just HHN on Twitter.
How many would that be? And see, there's Horror Nights fans who don't even like, for instance, we have a Twitter now. But I don't use Twitter. Yeah, I don't use, or whatever, Twitter. We're still calling it Twitter. We don't use Twitter. I don't use Twitter at all. And we do follow Horror Nights, but...
We have 144,000 followers.
And imagine the amount of people that don't even use Twitter.
Yeah.
That also like Horror Nights.
Bryce said 666,000.
It's a good number. Do we think, okay, do we think it's higher or lower than 350,000? And I'm not talking about people who just go to the event casual. I'm talking about fans of HHN, right? People who like to watch, you know, when Horror Nights releases the videos and stuff, speculations. You're muted. I don't want to talk to you right now. I'm talking to just the camera in the middle of this room, and my dog is sitting over there looking at me. I'm just interested to know.
Price of 55,000, but their Twitter has 144,000 followers. Under
So
500,000.
we got under 500,000, counting Japan, Singapore, UK. I'm talking about the entire world. How many are we thinking?
Yes, major fans.
And I'm not talking about major fans. No, I'm just talking about fans. The major fans are the creeps like Stephanie and I who sit down on their Tuesday evening to get a camera up and start talking about Horror Night stuff. Those are major fans, creeps. That's us. But I'm talking about like the fan of HHN who, when an announcement's made, they're like, they get a notification. Oh, they get excited. They talk about it with their friends and stuff. So I feel like there's 3 tiers of fans, right?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Do you not want to have this conversation?
No, I feel like it's going into left field. Like,
yeah, I hit the ball in the left field and we're chasing it right now.
all right.
Because I feel like there's like 3 tiers of fans, right? You have like your major fans, then you have your fans, and then you have just like
Casuals.
Casual people, like whatever. I don't care
like
if we go this year or
I went
not.
one time and
yeah,
it was fun.
So that's there you go. So you get my tier system then,
That's
right?
me.
Good. Oh.
Anyway, how do we even get on that subject?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out. I think I was trying to figure out like I don't know.
I will say, just to change the subject, to try to find a subject. I don't know how to say your Big Ups 5 IFY. Said Dark Universe at Epic will be sort of like the year-round haunt type feels. Imagine that land at night, every single night. Yeah, we're super excited. It feels like that's so far away, but I know it's gonna be like a blink of an eye. Are you looking for it?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Your chat is so different than mine.
It's way up there.
Okay, I found it.
But yeah, we're super excited for Dark Universe.
Yeah.
Even just looking at like the construction that's been going on and everything, like that whole park is gonna be amazing. I'm actually really excited for the Harry Potter area.
Yeah. I'm excited for the Dark Universe one because it's obviously like the classic monsters.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously am excited for that as well. But they have a lot of construction like well underway for the Harry Potter area, and it's like
it's cool.
It's like nothing that you see in a theme park.
Yeah, it looks like tall buildings.
It's cool. I think it'll be really immersive. I also am really excited for How to Train Your Dragon, but that's just me. All right, back to Horror Nights.
No, I mean, yeah, I'm excited for How to Train Your Dragon too. You know, there's dragons and Vikings, and I mean, what's there not to like of that? I mean, it's a good movie. Anyways, we got a question saying, did you guys do RIP tour yet? No, we don't do RIP tours.
No.
And the reason being is because they're expensive. It's the only reason. But because we live locally here, we don't put the money into that when we've already spent.
On the frequent fair passes. That's like our RIP tour.
Yeah, so we spend money on the frequent fair plus with Express, which was about $1,500 this year for the 2 of us. And so doing that, you know, we don't need to have a day in there where we buy an RIP tour and it's go, 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 go. You know, we just take our time because we're like, all right, we have like 35 nights that we go to HHN. So that's the only reason why we don't do it. Now, would we do it in the future? Absolutely. We do plan to actually do RIP tours in the future and maybe one next year, possibly. But we'll have a whole reason as to why that is. That wouldn't be just for us to do. There'll be a whole thing behind that and why we would do that.
Yeah, and Mr. Disney King said, but don't you want to experience it once? We did do an RIP tour when we did media night. What was that?
It was last year.
So 2022.
Yes.
We did media night last year and we did an RIP tour for that technically. And it was cool. Like, it's cool, like, not waiting in line and having the little backstories, but it's exhausting. Like, it is so fast paced, and like, that's not typically how we do HHN.
Well,
so
yeah. Gotta be careful what I say. We had tour guide Mary. If you guys know Mary, she was
great.
She was fantastic. We loved Mary. during the tour that we had for media night last year, which is that RIP tour. The problem is Universal kind of I'm going to say they kind of messed that up. Like they didn't have us start RIP tour until it was like almost 10 o'clock. So like the event was kind of like already done. So we didn't get to see the shows. We didn't get the time to really experience like the food. It was kind of a rush, where I know from a guest perspective, they're there a lot earlier. They have a lot more time to get through it and all that stuff. So I know doing the RP tour is a lot of fun. I do hate, and I mean hate with capital HATE, when the RIP tours, when they go through certain houses, they don't get to see
stuff.
Yeah, they don't get to see the facades.
Yeah.
And they do it with the tents, like the Oddfellow one for this year. Like they never really walk you up through the facades. Yeah. They did for the past years and stuff. I don't know if that's something that's this year or not, but I wish they included that with the RIP tours and all that stuff. It's something very simple that I just don't see how they can't incorporate that for some reason. But yeah, we do plan to do one down the road. It's just right now it just doesn't make sense for us to put the money into it when we're already spending a lot on HHN as it is. This has actually been the #1 most expensive HHN that we've had to date.
Yes.
And because we've also gone to Hollywood's HHN out there and spent quite a bit. Yeah. So HHN, you're welcome. We sent you everything we've earned this year.
Yeah, and this is exactly our thoughts on it too. Mr. Disney King had said his only issue with the RIP tour is I'm told where to go and what to do next versus the freedom of doing what I want all night, which is exactly how we feel, especially as locals and the amount of times that we go. Like, we don't necessarily we like being able to go and then like look at each other and be like, so what do you want to do next, instead of like being told exactly like where to go, what time to eat, like when you can get like water breaks and drink breaks and stuff. Not like they're like holding you hostage. Yeah. You can't go to the bathroom, but it is like different when you're just like, I don't know.
It's a little more simpler than that. Like it's a little chill compared to how we explain it. But we personally, it just depends on if you're a local, if you're traveling out, if you have one day, if you have multiple days. It all depends on all these different variables. But for us as locals, it's like, we go so many times, we just like to go at our own pace. And even if we went one day, I still don't think we would spend the money on an RIP tour. We would just do Express, because we personally like to have that freedom of choice in what we want to do. Whether like, okay, hey, right off the bat, we're going to go do this house. This is going to be our first house tonight. That's what we want to do. And then after that, we're going to take an hour off. We're going to do some of the food while the lines are down, chill around here and stuff. Then we'll go do some of these houses and all. So we do like having that freedom to kind of go about it the way we want, chill around, maybe sit in a scare zone for 30 minutes. Sometimes, like for instance, when we went to HHN Hollywood, the second night, we sat in the Toys Scare Zone. I think it was for 4 hours total.
It wasn't that long.
Total. For the entire day. It was 4 hours total that we spent in that one scare zone. We only did, how many houses did we do the second night? 2, 3?
Yeah, like 3.
Right? Because we spent so much time in the scare zones because we wanted to spend time in those scare zones. We're in the RP tour, like they got to get you through all the houses and kind of do all that stuff. So we preferred spending the money on Express and being able to go about it at your own pace. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how we would do it.
Yeah, and we have heard really good things about the RIP tour in Hollywood. I think that is probably the only place that we would consider doing an RIP tour, because it is like, it's not our home location. So it would be kind of nice, like, having the tour essentially. But that's why we don't do the one in Orlando. Or at least not like every year. There was another question that I don't remember which one it was.
Okay, so one thing I want to talk about now is the houses. We haven't been to the event much recently. We've been so busy at the house. But what is our current ranking in houses? I had somebody ask me this yesterday, and it had me think for a moment where I was like, well, what is our current rank? We haven't done that in a minute. So why don't we do that now? What our current ranking is. Now, I will say we haven't gone through Chucky since
it's been a long time.
Opening weekend?
No, it was like the second weekend.
Oh,
or this, second or third weekend.
Like a month and a half ago, right? We haven't been to Chucky in a long time. Only been through the house twice, and I know that they finally have like the bigger Chuckies in there, and they have added some things to it. So we still need to do that house. The Last of Us, we've heard, has gotten better. We haven't been to that one in a long time, to be honest. You know, we did our Hollywood trip back in September for the 21st and 22nd, and since then, I don't think we've done The Last of Us. I don't think we've done Stranger Things. I don't think we've done Chucky.
Those are the only 3.
Did we do Oddfellow when we got back?
Maybe not. No, we did. We did.
Okay.
The first night we got back.
But we got everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those were the 3 houses that we still haven't done since we got back from Hollywood. So I would say those are at the bottom right now.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. They weren't really high up on our list anyways. And then Blood Moon, I would say, has dropped down significantly.
Yeah.
And how do I put this kindly without people getting upset with me? It's one of those houses at first really like surprised me. I really liked in the beginning. So much so that it was like fighting for our number 1.
Yeah.
Opening weekend. And I enjoyed it. I like the concept. I like the details, even so much so that when you get into that outside courtyard scene and you turn right, you're going to go into the building, you get the reflection of the blood moon off the windows. Like, details like that is so important. And like, whoever thought of that, I could hug you for that, because it's details like that that make the house, in my opinion. But the problem that house had was the triggers were the same thing for everybody, and they didn't seem to match either for the character that was playing that role. Mm-hmm. Then they added some to it, which I liked. I was like, okay, cool. They're having some more of the storyline driven part.
Almost made it worse.
But yeah, there's some parts that I just felt like that is what they would say, like that. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it could be a little more darker. I feel like it could be a little harsher.
Yeah,
it feels a little too light.
Yeah.
Like the whole atmosphere, right? It's that dark reds that I was really begging for the house. Like visually, this house really hit it out of the park. But then when it came to the scare actors, the triggers used, it doesn't match the vibe for some reason. I don't know. And maybe I could be wrong about this because of the storyline. Like maybe it's supposed to be just very like simplistic, like colonial time periods.
It's like slow and quiet.
Yeah. And when we went through that house the last time we were there, right?
Yeah.
We went through that house. It felt quiet in that
Very
house.
Quiet.
That was probably the quietest ever that I've ever had in a haunted house.
It's almost like they need more like atmospheric sounds, but also maybe even like a score. You know what I mean?
I mean, do they?
I don't know, but if
the
they
last day
do,
we were there, we couldn't hear it.
If they do, it's very somber. I feel like it's maybe like to get the energy up a little, they need like something that's a little bit more like racing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I feel like there should have been, I don't know. There's something missing, and I feel like our recent walkthrough of that's really when it hit me, where I was like, what happened to that house? And it's nothing on the scare actors or anything like that. No. Even though I could say some things, to be honest, but
it's just like there are some houses that like in theory are really good and the design is really good and everything, but like you don't know how the guests are going to respond, and you don't know how scary it's actually going to be until you like put it all together and see it. And like they don't really get a ton of time to put all of it together with the scare actors in there and see it. So like it's not like they can just be like, okay, we got to go back to the drawing board, like that one wasn't scary.
See, like, and even like Chris Gray said, Blood Moon had the only room out of all of them that I paused and was like, I don't want to go in this room. Speaking of the church scene, which the church scene in there is fantastic.
And that's how I felt the first weekend. But then like it's kind of one of those things where like this is how I felt about Dead Man's last year, is like the set design is so beautiful that like that's what you are impressed by this house. But then the more you go into it, the more you're like, oh, I've seen that already. Like I want to be scared. It's a haunted house, and it just doesn't really have that as much.
Let's talk about the church thing real quick. Something just kind of popped in my mind. That church scene is beautiful. It is. We get to do the Unmasking the Horror tour, and we get to spend some time in that one room, in that one scene, and it's awesome. I mean, it is awesome, right? The one thing that I think that I don't care about is the way that they designed where the scare actors are, is when you walk in, they're both to the right. And after you've gone a couple of times, you know that. So basically, I'm not looking to the left much because the attention is to the right. But then they also put a house ops person on the left in between the seats. So it's kind of blocking the view of where those people are sitting. So I know as a bystander walking in as a guest, there isn't going to be a scare actor right there. They're going to be on the other side. So it takes away from the scare, in my opinion. At the same time, the triggers that are used in those spots are just, they're quick. They're, yeah! That's it. Where I feel like that room should be, and excuse my language, like satanic. Like that room should be like humming with energy. And the scare actors in that position, their triggers shouldn't just be like, yeah, like, ah. No, it should be like something like really dark, sinister. I don't know if it's got to be like a quote, you know, like dialogue being used or something like that. But I feel like it could have been really cool if they had somebody at the podium at the front, you know, kind of chanting somebody, and then you could have scare actors like, you know, like embracing something and, you know, then turning on the people who are walking by. Because I feel like as beautiful as that is, it's missing the energy that it could potentially have. And that's what brings that scare factor. And so when we walked through it that last time, when I walked in that one room, I was like, this is the room that's supposed to be whoa. And it didn't feel like that at all. It felt like there was no audio in that room. There was nothing.
And I also feel like there's only that one girl that's like, they killed mommy and daddy. And that's literally the only like victim.
Kind of
and
thing.
She's not even really like, it's not like she's screaming or anything. Like, it's not really, it's just kind of slow.
Yeah. Like, because the trigger for that one, and that's early on in the house, you turn right into one of the buildings, and, you know, she comes out, and the voice line is, you know, they killed mommy and daddy. Like, she's more worried versus terrified. Yeah. Like, if I was a kid and all that was happening and they killed my mom and dad, I don't think I'd be like, you know, they killed mom and daddy. Like, I'd be like, ah! Like, you know, like there would be like that sense of panic, like the whole town is under attack, basically, right? You know, you get people knocking on the doors, finding the non-believers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like it should be more like energetic.
Yeah,
it just isn't.
It would have been really cool to have, like, I would have loved to see the scare actors, and this is not on the scare actor. I would love to see creative be able to do this, where in that little the courtyard with the kids, right?
Yeah.
I love that scene because it looks good, you know, the kids and all. But how cool would it have been to have scare actors play that part and actually do like the walk around it? And every time they come up to people, they can kind of scare them as they go around or like chant something and have like mobs, right, of the colonials, like who are the believers of the blood moon and all, have the mobs like going up to those buildings in that courtyard, like knocking on the doors, and it's this chaotic like scene.
Yeah, I feel like it should be more chaotic, the house in general, because it's like the blood moon, they're like getting ready for this thing, and they're like trying to find all the non-believers.
You know, it's in the cover of the, you know, of night,
and all of those people, the non-believers or whatever, should be like freaking out, and like you don't really see any of them.
Yeah, I felt like
unless we're supposed to be them, but
I mean, we are technically them, but like I don't feel like I'm threatened in that house, if that makes sense. It's still a very beautiful house, but I just think that there is that factor of the energy that is missing that could have really turned that from a, you know, what was an opening weekend, you know, top 3 house for us, that is now like in the bottom 4, that could have at least saved it in the top 5.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Agreed. That's probably our most like
letdown of the year.
Yeah, but just like one that we could touch on because it has changed.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I feel like a lot of the other ones have stayed somewhat the same. So
I agree. Yeah, I can say that.
I will say that I feel like, and it's the same deal. And this is my biggest issue with HHN in general the last few years is I liked Dragons like the first weekend. I thought it was beautiful. It is beautiful. I really liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. But the more we go through it, the more I'm like, meh, because it's not scary. And again, that's not anything on like the scare actors or anything. Like they're doing a great job. You go through there and they're like, most of them are giving it their all. But
I mean, I genuinely think that the objective of the house is not even.
But that's my issue.
Scary. Yeah,
that's
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Like I'm going to a horror event. I want it to be scary.
Yeah.
Like I like that they use the nostalgia of like dragons and stuff, and they're like doing the fan service, and like I like that, but still make it like terrifying.
Yeah, I will say it was executed perfectly, as in from making it the roller coaster into a haunted house with the storyline. I think they did well with that. I think there could have been elements that they could have made scarier, if that makes sense. But even to me, even the costumes feel like early 2000s Dueling Dragons vibe. So I think it works. It's just I do think they needed more of those like on top of you moments that really freak you out. I think the scariest part of that house is when you go in the one room where you have those like the ice like army like rock guys that come out on the right and then they freeze, and the one on the left.
Yeah.
As soon as you turn right, there's that skeleton one that pops up. That's like
that one always gets
right. And then there's a couple like even on the left side too that we'll get every now and then.
I wish there was more of that, like where you go through and it's like the skeletons and the dead. Like the
stuff, like the quicker kind of like like little moments from and those are the ones that provide that.
But it's also just like darker in general. Like you're not walking through and you're like, oh, this is so pretty. You're like, oh, I'm somewhere like
it should not be here. Yeah, I agree. It's still beautiful, still well done. I just think it is missing that just a slight more scare factor to really make it a good contender. Still a beautiful house.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing: we talked about Blood Moon being like the 7th house. Right, just because Chucky, Last of Us, Stranger Things, we still have to go through. We haven't been through them since Hollywood, which was over a month ago. Believe it or not, man, that was a month ago.
You say this every time you talk about it. Anyway, so.
But then I would say Blood Moon, and then after Blood Moon, what would be your 6th house? I don't think Dragons is my 6th. I still think it's a little higher on the list.
I don't know, because the last time we went through, like, back when we did our house rankings before, I would have said Yeti. But the last time we went through Yeti, I got, like, several good scares. Like, the Yetis were being, like, super aggressive. And for me, that puts it higher for me.
Yeti has been improving a lot. And I know how much you just don't care for the Yetis.
I don't like the Yetis.
But
it impressed me last time I went through it.
Yeti's been really strong. It's one of those where I think I don't have a number 6 house. I think I have a 6, 5, and 4 house. Yeah. That is one position, right? Kind of like how Chucky, Last of Us, Stranger Things are at the bottom for me.
Yeah, it's
right?
Like
I think these are the mid.
Then that one.
This is the mid houses.
A group, yeah.
And
it's.
I hate saying this, but I feel like Dragons.
Yes.
Is in there.
Dragons, Yeti, and Dr. Oddfellow.
You put those 3 in there?
That's what I would say. And then 3?
See, I feel like Exorcist.
Oh, I forgot about Exorcist.
I feel like Exorcist falls in that category.
Yeah.
And I would put Oddfellows above. Yeah, me too. Oddfellows has grown on me more.
Me too.
And I know Breland even asked, what do we think about Oddfellows? Well, and that's what we're going to get into now. I have Dragons, kind of that really like good mid-tier section. Exorcist in there. Exorcist kind of fallen a little bit for me.
A little bit.
But I noticed the reason being for that is because our recent experiences of going in that house, there's been a lot of like boo holes that are empty. We've been getting a lot of cast changes.
We haven't had good walkthroughs.
Yeah, we haven't had good walkthroughs recently. But the energy's still there. It's aggressive. It's a great house. I don't care for the smell in some of the rooms, but I would still say that's one, in there. So Dragons, Exorcist, and then I would say Yeti's also there. But those are all at the top of that line. Like they're barely breaking into the
Yeah,
top
they're like
list.
4th place.
Yeah, they're like 4th place running right now.
Yeah.
Then your top 3.
Oddfellow. For me, it's going to be Oddfellow. And then a tie between Darkest Steel and Monsters. I can't pick.
See that? Yeah, it's like I know Oddfellow is like my number 3 right now.
Because it's a toss-up. Because like,
well,
we've had.
Do you want to talk about Oddfellow first?
Sure.
Were you gonna talk? Because I said we were gonna talk about Oddfellow, but
oh yeah, I mean we can. I just like. I like it. Like you've said, it's grown on us a little bit more. I think like the yeah.
It's very claustrophobic.
Yeah, like the claustrophobic feeling always gets me. So that's always gonna like do well for me because it always makes me like feel uncomfortable. Way more than like anything that's like super like big, but it's like a big open space. Like that's not scary to me. And I know that's not always like the goal, I guess. But
so are we gonna say that Oddfellow is number 3? Right, we're agreeing that it's number 3 for us right now.
Yeah, I like how like close it is. I'm never a huge fan of like carnival clown stuff.
Me neither.
So like that's why I think I would put it at 3.
Oddfellow was towards the bottom for us. It was like a lower tiered house at the beginning of the event.
Yeah.
And we've gone through it recently. And one thing that I've noticed from the beginning of the event to currently now is that the energy has increased and the scare actors don't seem like scare actors anymore. They don't. And this is a good compliment. They seem like the characters in the house. You know, they're not scare actors anymore. And this is why I feel like I have to give them the credit of at least being in the top 3 right now. They're not close to my top 2 houses, but I have to give them number 3 just for the fact, even though I don't like Oddfellow more than I like Dragons, but because the scare actors show up so much in Oddfellow for at least our recent walkthroughs that I've seen, and that the scare actors have really dove into their characters. Like you can see that in the character's face when the scare actor comes out and they give their expression off, they are the voice. They are the movements and stuff. Mm-hmm. And you can see when it's natural like that. And I feel like that is why when I went through Oddfellow last time, I got out of the house and I'm like, wow, like I have to give them applause for that because like the performers did exactly what they were meant to do. And so I got to give Oddfellow props on that. You know, the house, out of all the houses, it feels like the only house, and Exorcist still has this feeling too, but Oddfellow feels like it's the only house that, like, I feel threatened in that house.
Yeah.
It's tight quarters, you know, it's claustrophobic. There are areas that, you know, they have the blast cannons that kind of throw you off. They have a lot of like the spray effects and stuff. There's a lot of effects being used in that house.
Also, the bull and the tutu, he is scary.
Yeah, that one is a little freaky.
He's just so big.
It's like almost like a gross feeling house in a sense too, and it's got that kind of vibe, and it's energetic and it's aggressive. So Oddfellow, I'll give it number 3 right now, just because of our last walkthrough. I was surprised. Yeah, with it. But then go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Chris said, you know, it never has a bad run through Nightmare Fuel. We wouldn't know because
we've only done that once.
We've done it once.
Yeah. We may do it one more time.
Maybe. I mean, the one time that we did do it, the one magic trick didn't even work. So we should probably do it one more time.
No, the one time we did do it, there was multiple things that was not like
it was opening weekend though.
Yeah. So we'll probably do Nightmare Fuel one more time. We just don't spend time doing the show because
it takes so long.
Yeah, we're only there really for 3 hours when we go to the event recently.
It takes up so much time.
So if we went to go do Nightmare Fuel, that would take up the time that we have available.
Yeah, that's like a whole hour at least.
Yeah. So every time we go there, we're always like, we do like Stay and Scream, and then we're done by like 8:00, which the first show is getting ready to kick off. So we're already leaving by then.
Yeah.
So Nightmare Fuel we'll have to do. But anyways, number 2.
I told you my top 2 are a tie.
See, I'm gonna give Darkest Steel my number 2, and I'm giving Monsters my number 1. Absolutely.
I still love Darkest Steel.
Darkest Steel's
We've had some not great run throughs the last few times, but But I think that was like one time we had a cast change. And then
both times we had a cast change.
Yeah,
actually.
and then one time we also like I didn't feel good, so like I didn't really even want to be in there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Darkest Steel is still
very good.
Fantastic house. I mean, that is another house that has like the scare actors who became the characters that they play. I mean, there are a couple of characters that I know that are in the house that when I see them perform, I'm like, dang. Like you could not tell if this person is a performer for Universal or if this person like lives in this house.
Yeah.
And it's a very aggressive house. The vibe to it, the smells in that house, the whole atmosphere is perfect.
It's also just like so dark. Like the actual like theme of it is very dark.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that.
A lot of energy from the performers. Like for instance, when we went through the very last time we just went through Darkest Steel, we went through and a cast change was happening. And we got to the final scene before you go into the collector's realm. The final scene when he comes to collect the soul of the pine straw spruce, right? That's on a loop. That is not like a trigger. That's actually a timed loop. So that one's constantly playing. So those scare actors are having to do that on stage in front of guests the whole time, right? And we got stopped right there in front of the stage, which was really cool. And they were just nonstop. They kept doing that. I think it was like 4 times they did that. And you know, that's not like a short trigger. That's a pretty long like sequence that they have there. And they were giving it their all, knowing that they were still going to do a cast change, that they were already, 45 minutes into their set, middle of the night kind of thing. And they were still giving it their all. And it was actually like a really cool sight to see.
And I will say, how I was saying, like that house, like the feeling of it, the triggers, like all of it is very like dark, and that's why I like that one a lot. But it also reminded me, Fred had asked, is there a truly gory house this year? And I was thinking like, no, there isn't. But I think the only like gory house that we have this year is Blood Moon. That one is actually pretty gory.
Yeah.
But it's not scary.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's weird.
That is interesting, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, Chucky, I guess. We haven't been to Chucky in years. I don't know. I have to go.
A little bit.
After going to HHN Hollywood's Chucky, I don't care to go to our Chucky. Like, sorry.
Yeah, Hollywood's was way better.
Hollywood's Chucky was awesome. It really was.
It was really good.
So, and that's coming from us. We don't care for, Chucky much. But then my number one, which is still like tied with you with Darkest Steel, Classic Monsters. Every single time, and here's the thing, every time that I've gone through Monsters, it has been just nonstop aggressive energy. That no matter what time of day we go, whether it's earlier in the day, middle of the day, or middle of the night and later in the night, it's been nonstop. And the couple of scare actors that we have in there and stuff, like it's to the point where I get out of that house and I'm like, I gotta give it, like, I tip my cap to that. And it's rare do I tip my cap to some of the scare actors, because I'm like, I gotta see like full like energy. Mm-hmm. And that is what Monsters has been. And I don't know why every single year, and we are biased when it comes to the Monsters, don't get me wrong, but for some reason every year the Monsters house just seems to have just unbelievable energy every single night throughout the entire event, every single year.
Yeah.
That's it. Love it. I love Monsters.
Same.
Cool.
That's it.
That's it. That's all you gotta say.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Good night. So long.
We are at an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, we made it to an hour and 20. Yay. Also, yeah, I don't know why the camera's doing this autofocus thing. It's never done this before.
Might need to turn the autofocus off.
I never had the autofocus on. That's why I'm like, I don't know why it's doing this right now.
Well, it's obviously on. You gotta turn it to manual.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Goodbye, everybody.
So that's why it's doing it.
So anyways, folks, with that being said, Steph is going to go ahead and tell me all the reasons I'm doing things wrong for the rest of the night. But I think that's pretty much it. That's kind of all we had for tonight planned out. Just kind of chat away. It's going to be a short live stream with 1 week left until Halloween.
Yes.
That's it. And then it'll be Christmas, and all of you guys are going to be out there celebrating Christmas and you know, drinking hot cocoa and stuff, and you're gonna be so happy with your lives, being like, "Yay, Halloween's over." I'm gonna be miserable over here in a corner, realizing we gotta wait how many more freaking months till we get HHN back.
You used to be Mr. Christmas.
I still am Mr. Christmas.
Exactly.
I am, but like nothing beats Horror Nights. Nothing beats Horror Nights. And truthfully, and this is so weird. Like this year's event. Don't get me wrong, this year's event's been great. It really has. Like this year's event has had great food, it's had great houses, scare zones are picking up. You know, like for instance, we went to Shipyard 32 recently. Holy smokes. I did not care for Shipyard 32 for a while of the event. And this was the first time I actually sat down in that scare zone and kind of watch it. The scare actors are probably the most aggressive scare actors in the scare zones. I honestly would give Shipyard 32 number one, just because of the scare actors that I've seen that last day that we were there, compared to what I've seen in the other scare zones.
Yeah,
so
they were going hard.
I mean, they were like up in people's faces. I'm like, yeah, okay, I like that. I wish they would chase people like they do in Hollywood, but that's another story. So from the beginning of the event to now, current end of the event, things have changed. Some things, you know, that we liked, we don't like, and then vice versa. And I think it just comes to be, you know, because we go so much, we see some of the differences. Whereas some people, they come for one and done. That's kind of the experience that they get. But this event has been strong. It's been a good year, right? There are a couple of positives, there are a couple of negatives, as you know, every year that comes around. But one thing that this year has done for me that I realized compared to past years is that it's got me more excited for next year now. Like I'm more excited to get into the speculation season and really getting the conversation ramped up for next year's HHN more than I have in past years. And I think it's because of the event that we had for this year that, you know, it was a good year, it's a solid year and stuff. And I feel like there are bigger things to come and will come that I'm like, all right, I'm wanting those now, you know? So I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Cool.
All right, cool. Anyways, yes, Chris, your Disney Cookie Troll video will be coming this year. Don't worry.
So we're not doing all 8, 10, 12, whatever, however many cookies they have this year.
Chris, I'm sorry that Stephanie's been a negative Nancy today. I don't know what's going on with her. I will make sure that we get all the cookies for you. Don't worry. I will make that happen. We will get all the cookies so you can see us throw up later in the video. So, but anyways, I think that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. I can hear the fireworks going off in the background.
Crazy.
And we got to take Hondo on a walk here in a minute. He is knocked out on the couch. See his little paws?
Yeah.
But, yeah, anyways, that's going to be it for us. We're going to be calling it a night. We hope to have a video up sometime soon, maybe. Yeah. And we will be doing a live stream next week, but not on Tuesday. We're going to be doing one on Monday night, yes. Hallows Eve. We'll be doing a Hallows Eve live stream Monday. I don't know the time yet. So October 30th at unknown time. Because my crazy self is like, how cool would it be if we did it up at midnight and like rang in Halloween? And negative Nancy over here is like, no. I
have to work. You have to work.
I know. But this is work too. So we'll have a live stream next Monday. I just don't know the time yet. We'll figure out the time and talk with you guys and get something like that figured out. So, cool. But with that being said, we're going to call it for tonight, guys. I want to thank all of you guys for joining us and for the continuous support on the channel and keeping the Halloween spirit going, because guess what? We're still not at Halloween, but HHN's living year round. Yeah. And look forward to some HHN 33 speculation coming very soon, because we have some things we want to discuss and talk about with you guys. So with that being said, that's going to be it for us wrapping it up here tonight in this live stream. I'm trying to find a closing video to put up. I was supposed to have a new one done. I don't know. What closing video do you want to do?
The clicker one.
The clicker one? Or just do the traditional meets. I
want to see Ryan run like a clicker again.
Oh, yeah? All right. Or how about this? How about I just end it?
All right, bye.
All right, see ya. Good night. Peace out, everybody. Ciao. Oh, nope, that's the wrong button. I almost left the studio, and it's still going to be live.
End stream.
Where are you in the stream?
Up in the right hand corner.
Oh, this?